Hi, I'm Nils, the product manager for Hatchify. In this video, we'll look at the Hatchify project and how you can use it today. Hatchify helps developers build React, NodeJS, and Sequelize apps quickly. Hatchify provides the speed of low-code development while enabling complete customization in patterns familiar to React and Node developers. Let's walk through building a simple to-do list app. It'll have two data types, to-dos and users. Each to-do can be assigned to a user. The app looks something like this. You can see on the top navigation your data types, in this case, to-dos and users, and below is the grid that's the visual representation of your data. It has the functionality you'd expect from any rich table. You can paginate, sort, filter, and you can see here that as I'm playing with the filters can be quite powerful. And now that you know where you're going, let's get started on building this. To get started, Hatchify comes with a project generator, which we can call by running npm init Hatchify JS at latest. And you can provide a couple prompts here to get the app started. So here I will provide the project name. I will choose what backend I want to use. In this case, Koa is our sole option. And then we'll also choose what type of database that we want to use. For this demo application, we'll use Sequelize. And now the application will be installed and all of its dependencies. Generating this app structure makes getting started as easy as possible. However, the structure we create by default is not necessary. It's not required. Hatchify can be integrated into single-layer repos, mono repos, or whatever type of structure your app has. Now we can see that our app is finished installing, so let's change into the repo that's been generated. So the Hatchify app repo. And now that we're inside of our Hatchify app, we can run the dev server. So we'll just go npm run dev to get things started. And as it starts up, you'll see that it's ready once the localhost started on localhost 3000 message comes up here. And I will follow that link, and let's take a look at the app. You can see here that we really just have one thing on the page. It's the RoboChicken telling us that we need to add a schema still. Schemas allow us to define the shape of our data. Each schema defines a data type, its attributes, and how the data types relate to each other. So let's go back over to our development environment and pull up our app. So we can open up the Hatchify app folder, and this is what's been generated for us. The place where we add schemas is called this schemas ts file here. So we're going to add a user and a to-do. But first we're going to import the different attributes and relationship types that we're going to use from the Hatchify core. So I'm going to use belongs to, I'm going to use boolean, I'll be using date, I'll be using integer, has many, and string. And then we're also going to be using a type from the same project, so I'll import a type. And this is the partial schema. And that's also from Hatchify core. And now we can start defining a to-do that we're going to export. We're going to want to use this in other parts of our app. And we're going to give it a property, and this is going to be the name. This is just the name of our schema. So in this case, it's to-do. And we're going to start giving its attributes. And this to-do, it's going to have some sort of label to it, and we'll call that field the name as well. So we're going to say that the to-do, the schema named to-do also has a name property, name attribute on it. It also has a due date. I'll use the date only attribute for that. And then we'll also add a importance and a complete. And let's say that the completes, this should be defaulting to false. And let's also say that our name field over here should be required. And now that all those attributes are added, let's add the relationship that I earlier said that these to-dos are all going to have a relationship with users potentially. So we're going to say that this has a user that it can belong to. It belongs to the user schema. And now let's define that user schema. And we're going to kind of create the same thing. We're going to create this object called named with a user field in it. We're going to give it attributes. And for these attributes, let's just give it a single attribute for now. And the relationship that it's going to have is with the to-dos, it's going to have a list of to-dos, and we're just going to call that a has many relationship with to-do. And there we go. We've actually defined our two schemas. We're also going to add a bit more TypeScript to this. We're going to add some satisfies keywords, and we're going to use that type we imported earlier called partial schema. And this is just going to allow us to retain all of the uniqueness that we've described here, while also saying that this conforms to the partial schema type that's expected by Hatchify. It allows us to get strong typing from Hatchify, while also still like keeping all of the user-defined properties here that we're going to want to infer based off of in other places within Hatchify. So let me just fix the one typo here, and there we go. Our TypeScript has caught that typo for me, and we've described our two schemas that we're ready to use. And now that we've got those filled out, we can actually save them. And once we save them, we'll see that the server is reloaded, and it's going to start including those new data types. So let's go back over to our application, and you can see that, hey, we've got a to-do table and a user table. That's great, but there's no data in them yet. They're still just empty. So what we can do is seed some data. Let's go back over to our IDE and pull up another terminal. And we're going to run this command. We're going to say npx hatchify getting started guide seed. And we're just going to run that. All right, and now that we've run that seeding command, we can go back over to the application and take a look at what it looks like. So you can see now we've got a bunch of populated data here. We've got a bunch of just randomly generated to-dos and randomly generated users that have been assigned to each other. We can mess around with this data and actually take a look at it. So we're back at that rich data table example that we showed earlier. So I can go in here and I can like look up all of the to-dos for this first user named Alton. We could see that we have, 3 pages of different to-dos for Alton. We'll sort them by their importance. And we can see that Alton has a variety of very strange tasks he's got to perform. We can switch over to our users and take a look at all of the different users that we have here. And yeah, just like that, we've moved from a data model to a starter app in minutes. This is the goal of Hatchify, to help developers start faster, maintain easier, and grow further. And we're excited to share it with you. In some of our forthcoming videos, we'll give a more in-depth look at how Hatchify works. Until then, please take a look at our guides to learn more.
I'm Heather, the community manager for Hatchify. Thanks for checking it out. You can find out more information on the detailed uses of Hatchify in our documentation on GitHub. We have a dedicated forum in our community Discord where we're ready to answer your Hatchify questions. You can also post an issue on GitHub for feature requests. We can't wait to hear what you have to say and to see what you hatch with Hatchify.